Welcome to Unfiltered. This weekend sees Willie and Reni dust off the boots, playing in the Legends of League tournament up at Gosford. The boots are dusted off. All the rubber in Sydney's been sold to try and fit a mouthguard for those teeth. Now, boys, how seriously are we taking this?
It's for a good cause. You know, it's Mark Hughes Foundation for Brain Cancer. You know, I think you'll see a lot of great players during the 2000 eras. I don't think you're going to expect the same football. You know, we're all a bit older now, and I think it's just a great cause. Everyone. At the end of the day, I think if someone hits me a little bit too hard, I'm going to go at him 100%. So I don't know how we're going to go until we step across that line. And we had a training session today, and the ball just looked really weird, and I dropped a couple of balls, and it was just a bit of a spin out.
Well, there's been a bit of talk in the paper about secret training sessions and blokes going. Now, I can exclusively reveal on our show that you had a 5-day training camp in Melbourne over the Melbourne Cup, worrying about diet and exercise.
Yeah, I did. I had a really exclusive training session down there in Melbourne with down Derby Day, so it got me in really good stead for this week.
You're ready
so I can't wait.
Yeah, you're ready to go. Ren, how are you feeling?
Yeah, I'm feeling fantastic, mate. No, I was blown today. It was really tough. Yeah. The body's hurting, but as Will said, it's for a great cause, Mark Hughes Foundation, and we're looking forward to it. You know, it was a bit of just an idea at the beginning of the year, and I wasn't too keen, but now it's getting closer, and spending some more time with the Canterbury boys, it's a bit fun, you know, and being around the dressing room at Belmore especially.
You know, guys like Wendell and Gordon Tallis, Lottie Keary, Sean Berrigan, Cliff Lyons is playing. Steve Menzies. Like, I don't want to tackle Cliffy Lyons. I would not tackle Cliffy Lyons. I refuse to tackle Cliffy Lyons. But anyone else is free game.
And you wanted to call out Solomon Amano, I heard?
Oh, yeah.
Is he playing?
Solomon Amano's playing. So, Sol, you know, we're good mates. Tonga's going good. You know, we're on the same boat. We don't want to hurt each other, mate.
Well, some proper football that was played, not you old crocs running around, has been the Rugby League World Cup. Now, we're down to the quarter-final stage. Just going through the games that we had on the weekend, Fiji put Italy away, which was always going to be expected. Yeah. Fiji, they've been really good, but they haven't been tested. So
it sets up for a good game against the Kiwis, but like you said, they haven't been tested. New Zealand, obviously coming off the loss against Tonga, they're going to be really prepared for this game. You know, look, we all want to see an upset. I don't see it happening. But, you know, stranger things have happened. Obviously, last week with Tonga beating New Zealand, not many people picked that.
Yeah, I think with Fiji, exactly what you said, I don't think they've been tested. I don't think PNG's been tested. PNG's had 4 games over there. Now they're coming down to Melbourne, they're playing against England. You know, Fiji's been dusting everybody. You know, they're for and against is the best. They're defending really well, but they've played no one, so the test is now. So both these teams are coming out of their pools relatively easily. A couple of injuries here and there, but like this week is what it's all about, you know. So them playing against New Zealand's going to be pissed off, you know what I mean? I honestly don't think that was an upset against Tonga. But we'll talk about that later. But I think Fiji's going to get a real big shock.
Yeah, look, I hope they do well. It's in the forwards is where they're probably going to find it hard, but that backline's phenomenal.
And I think PNG's going to get a big shock as well. You know, they've been dusting up some good teams, but I mean, they're coming against England. Like, I watched England play. They look sharp as hell, man. They got Gareth Widdop coming out the back, slick hands. Their defence, they're going to match anybody. You know what I mean? So they're building towards something. I can see they're building towards something. They've got Wayne Bennett. He's just going to install so much confidence within that team. They've got at least in about 6 or 7 key positions NRL players, so they know what sort of standard they have to get to.
Well, PNG put away USA by 64
That was a
points.
joke.
I mean, PNG, they have just been... You can't ask more on what they've been doing. They've been put in a comp with some sides that probably aren't as strong as some others, but, geez, they've been putting some points on.
Yeah.
That's like logistically, it's been great for them. I don't understand why they get to play 3 home games. I mean, who's going to beat Papua New Guinea up there?
I think they'd give anyone a run up there.
Yeah,
you know, if the Pommies went up there, of any team, I mean, even if the Aussies go up there, they're going to give them a fair run. Let alone Wales, US, you know, all them other teams, and Ireland. They just got dusted.
Well, Wales played Ireland. Wales proved that they are here for the ride, essentially. The Irish, I tell you what, the Irish have been, for me, out of all the teams, I think the Irish have been the most. They've won 2 games. They've been obviously knocked out now. They haven't gone through to the quarters, but I just think I'd like to see Ireland playing against Lebanon.
This is where we're talking about logistics of the whole thing, Ren. Why? How do you win 2 games and not make the finals, and Samoa win none and make the finals?
I want someone to explain that to me. Like, seriously, it's a joke. You win 2 games, Samoa will go through, don't win a game, and they get through to the quarterfinals. Like, it makes the whole thing a bit of a farce, to be honest.
Like I'm getting that many hits
Why
on
come
Twitter
over
going,
here?
why aren't they in the final?
Well,
We've won
they'd be
2
thinking the
games.
same things. The Irish would be I'd be filthy. You come out all the way on the other side of the world, you win 2 games, and a team that goes through that hasn't won 1 game has a draw. It doesn't make sense.
And you've played well. I mean, that Irish team looks like it's a handy side. I mean, it's not going to trouble. It's not going to win a comp. But I mean, to come all this way, as you say, and to be rewarded for how you've played is a bit rough.
And I just hope the next Rugby League World Cup, this is teething problems, but how many teething problems can you have? Like, make 18 teams. There's another 4 teams out there that can play world rugby.
Why don't they have more teams?
I don't understand. It must be a money thing. It's a financial thing, because you've got to pay the players. They're getting paid by the Rugby League World Cup. You know what I mean? Like, so
yeah, but $30 a day, some of them.
I'm saying this, to bring another 4 teams in, that's probably a couple of $1 million.
We only need 2 more teams, really.
100%. I'm with you.
You split the 4 pools evenly, but it's not right what's happened to the Irish team. I'd be absolutely filthy.
Well, you've talked about Samoa not winning a game, and Samoa played against Scotland and drew. I mean, that's pretty average.
It was like they give up, or they were just going to sort of turn up and just get the job done. They end up getting the job done, but only just on for and against. You know what I mean? They had Danny Brough out, they had Johnny Walker out. Sorry, Johnny. They had some key players out, and they still had them on the ropes. They got a draw.
Look, for me, Samoa the players didn't look in the best shape of their lives. I mean, there's some pretty handy footballers in that team, and there was some
some big boys
filling out those jerseys.
I don't know, Ren. What do you think the problem is? You played for Samoa, and you know the culture. You know everything about it. So what's the problem there? On paper, they are ridiculous.
They are a great side. They are a great side on paper, and I'll never bag the boys. I think the camp is so much fun. It is so much fun, and it's probably a bit too much fun when you see the buffets come out and everything. But, that's up to you to be the ultimate professional. I don't think the navy blue jersey makes you look very good.
They're wearing a white one
around
the white jerseys don't look good, man.
The white one doesn't look much better. But look, it's been a really disappointing World Cup for Samoa. I've been looking at my heritage to see if I've got any Tongan in me, because everyone's everyone's waving the Tongan flag at the moment.
But in saying that, as you said, like, it is up to you to be a professional. When you are in camp for 6 weeks and stuff like that, there's food everywhere, and you can put on weight very easily, unless your coaches and your trainers are making you accountable for it. I don't think anyone's been held accountable. The coaches, the trainers, or whoever's their trainers, they need a whole new revamp, Samoa, to get to that next level, because the players that next level. They're already at that next level. They're ready to go to the quarters and the semi-finals. Push like Tonga's been pushing, but they've regressed.
They have.
So something's going to happen within that coaching team, within the training facilities. Everything like that just needs a big revamp. Get everybody out and start again.
Yeah. Look, and that was, for me, I think Samoa have been the disappointment of the. I mean, you don't expect much from sides like the US and things like that. But for Samoa to go through and not win a game, it's been. Yeah,
we've been ranked number 4 for a little while now,
and well deserved, because you just keep turning up, beating Tonga in the
Pacific Nations,
beating Tonga in the Pacific Nations all the time. You know what I mean? But now, Tonga seem to make that next level jump, and I think it's because of. I think Wolfie, the coach, he needs to take some massive credit, because he's bought into the culture.
We haven't spoken about Wolfie. I reckon he's been fantastic for that team. And I've heard big raps about him as a coach, and obviously the Tongan boys respect him a lot. Going back to Samoa, there was a lot of pressure on them to do well, and they lost that test against Fiji and Samoa last year.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of pressure from the country, from everyone here. Everyone expects a lot from Samoa. So they should. There's a lot of experience and there's a lot of strike within that side. Something needs to be looked at. I don't know what goes on within the camp. I know Clinton Hall, he's a trainer. The boys respect him. He does train the boys hard. I don't know about the coaching. I don't know about the coaching. Dave Penner's in there.
You're going to rifle another coach.
No. Dave Penner's in there, and he was.
David Penner's a great coach.
He's a great coach.
He should be the head coach then.
He was fantastic to work with when we played Fiji a few years ago. I had to fill in at 5'8", and he helped me out massively.
I had him at Manly. I think he's a great
and
person.
A great bloke. I mean, Matty will have to answer to Matty Parish will have to answer to the hierarchy of Samoa. They want better results. They're very passionate. The Prime Minister's very passionate, especially when Samoa get beat by Tonga and don't win a game, go through the quarters. Yeah. If they get dusted by 60, the Prime Minister is likely just to go, look, we're just going back to the Manu Samoa, just the rugby union, and concentrating on them, because we did build momentum for Tour Samoa.
Big time, man. Big time. It's been a shame.
Yeah.
And I just think it just goes deeper when I watch the boys run out and they did the Civi Towel, they were emotional and everything but it just wasn't that passion like they usually have. I thought they would have smashed the hell out of Scotland. But
there was a lot of travel going on between coming from New Zealand up to Cairns, and as they walked out, I just something was off. I text you guys straight away. I said they look flat. That was before the ball was even kicked. So look, disappointing, but I love Samoa.
What wasn't flat was that other Pacific Island nation. That was, I mean, we had said before that game that if Tonga won that game, it legitimised the World Cup. And I tell you what, there was a stadium full of Tongan flags. The singing that went on, the
was unbelievable
that those Tongans had. Any talk about Taumalolo or Fafita or whatever, anyone who watches that game, you understand why they did it.
I tell you what Tonga did do, they revived this World Cup.
They did.
If they didn't beat New Zealand, this would be the worst World Cup I've ever witnessed, really. No one would be talking about it. What they did makes the hairs on the back of my neck stand up. And to see, I know we'll talk about it in more detail, but I was in tears when I was seeing Taumalolo cry. Takiaho, he's been the player of the tournament. Fafita, he's been unbelievable. And then the guys around him, they've been great. They've been so good. And the way the passion, to see Taumalolo do the sippy towel, I didn't expect that. And when they dropped around him, I was like, oh my God, this game's
they reckon before the game, he wasn't doing anything other than he was practicing that.
Yeah, because he's a very shy kid, mate. You've got to understand that.
And the passion
for him to do that, like, it brings the hair up on the back of my neck. Like, or even now, to see him do that and then to see him lead and just play with so much passion, it was unbelievable.
It was. We were texting each other during the game when they started coming back.
Yeah,
and
it was like a fairy tale. Is this happening? I was like, when we were watching the game, I was like, oh, they're going to get dusted at 16-6. But I was thinking that Tupou try was a try. I think it should have been 10-6 at half time instead of 16-0 or whatever it was. 16. But just the way that he came out in that second stint, even his first one, he did it. Got hit and he carried like Blairy and Hargraves and Tupou 20 metres after contact. Do you know what I mean? If you can't get motivated, if you're another forward after what he's done, he sacrificed a lot to play for Tonga, you know what I mean, at the end of the day. And then for him to come out and just to put that whole nation and the World Cup on his back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? No one would be talking about the World Cup if it wasn't for Taumalolo and it wasn't for Fafita.
But you know what else I thought? Connie Harrell, like his defence early,
he's all over the shop.
He was all over the shop. But when there was 16 minutes to go and I think New Zealand scored and they got within 6 or 8 points, that's when your big names stood up. Taumalolo, Connie Harrell, he fixed his mistakes from defence and put Fusitu'a over in the corner. Even the way he was catching the high balls, Fafita and Taumalolo or Takiaho, the way they stood up and led from the front.
That second stint. But just to carry them home because the game was still in the balance there. They no Jennings. You got your Mahi Whanua, who's a pretty young. He's been over in England. He's a star over there, but it's different when you're playing against New Zealand. So that second stint when Fafita was just coming off the back fence, and then you had Conrad, that second carry, then you had Taumalolo, then you had Takiaho, then kick. And they just kept doing that, and they just had that leadership, and they all stood up, the cream rises to the top. Taumalolo was coming out of a fucking cannon, man. Like, he was just going nuts. And like, just as an ex-player and Tongan heritage, you just sort of, I was so emotional watching it, especially the end when he was crying.
Powerful.
Like, I was crying.
You always cry. So the other thing you've talked about the coach, but I think the thing with him, he's given them some structure, but he's also obviously said to them, go out and play, to some extent, your natural game. He hasn't overcoached them.
No.
I think he's done a terrific job. I read this morning he used to fight in that Fred Brophy tent. He used to go around and fight blokes.
I've known him for a while, Christian. I've known him for a while. He was at the Bulldogs when I was back there. He used to coach the younger sort of players. So I've known him for about 10 or 15 years. I know he's always been a good coach and he was up at North Queensland and everything like that. So he's brought right into that culture and he's given them leadership and given them trust. That's what you need to do in the Polynesian sides.
Yeah.
You got to let Fafita do what he wants. Yeah. He's going to come out there and he's going to play his best football for you. Taumalolo's a young kid. You got to let him go. Takiaho, you got leaders in the right position and he's just gone, all right, boys, here's the team. Now go and do it. You know what I mean? And to do that to young kids and to give them that trust, entrust them like Wayne Bennett does to his teams, all them leaders, they rise to the top at the end of the game. And that's what he's done. Like, Taumalolo leaving that Civi Tower, that was ridiculous. Like, never, ever thought he would have done that. That just shows his maturity and the respect that he's got from his Tongan people. You know what I mean? So I can't talk highly enough of that whole team and what they've done for this whole World Cup. And even New Zealand, you know, they got beaten. But I mean, like they showed up, man. Like they showed up. That was one of the best games. It made sports.
They got genuinely beaten by a better team, and there was no one can complain about the ref or whatever. It was just one of those games where the lead changed, and it was great to watch. Yeah. The Australian game, they beat Lebanon in front of 21,000, and as we said, there was 19,000 Lebanese. And,
it was a good atmosphere, right?
I'll tell you, who didn't think it was a good atmosphere was Josh Mansell.
Dropping that ball right in the corner, the whole Lebanese army was right there.
Oh, no.
It couldn't have happened better for them. And I mean, for him, it was a bit of a would have been a bit of a bummer. But like, it was disappointing. I thought from the Australians, they weren't that sharp. You know what I mean? But I think it's still teething problems, and they'll sort that out this week.
England looked good against France in the first half, and then dropped off a little bit in the second. Whether that was just because they took the foot off the pedal.
I think getting Widdop to fullback. I think he was a fullback when he got to Melbourne. But obviously you can't get Billy Slater out there. So he went to 5'8", and he's continued that through St George. But now Wayne knows that he is a fullback. And the amount of time and skill that he has out the back. I know it was against France and their defence is a lot different. But, I mean, they just look so slick on the edges, man. Like
you need a ball-playing fullback. You need someone who can find their winger or hit their centre. And that's the difference between the good sides and the not so good sides. And that's what having a ball-playing fullback. Sorry, Will.
No, that's all right. I just think England is, as I said, they're building, man. Like they don't fear Australia. They think Australia's there for the taking. So does New Zealand. So does Tonga.
Yep.
They think this is the time. There's no JT, Cameron Smith, all these sort of guys. They're aging. Billy Slater, these young kids. You know what I mean? They're coming through. But like, if it's the right time now and the right World Cup to pick them off, it's now.
Yeah, no, for sure. Well, I mean, that leads us into the quarterfinals. So the first game's going to be Australia versus Samoa. And I mean, look, Samoa, you don't give them much chance. I just hope it's not a massive blowout.
Not in a quarterfinal, not in a World Cup. You don't want a massive blowout. And I'm sure they're going into this game with a lot of pride. You know, they're playing up in Darwin. The conditions aren't going to be the greatest.
34 Cairns was hot. It's like 36
Let's go further north, further towards the equator. But it's just, look, I just want them to have a go and just really.
They do have the talent. They've got the talent to do something. So
I think it was one of them games they just put in the back and say, look, let's let that one go. Let's just get into Australia and just rip into them.
Yep.
And just go as hard as we can for 80 minutes, get off the field, leave it all on the field. See what happens the next test, next year or whatever happens.
Tonga play Lebanon. Now,
don't write the Lebanese off, mate.
I'm 100% writing the Lebanese off.
They showed up, mate. For 50 minutes, they were competitive.
Look, I'm not saying they're not a good side. They're a good side and they've been impressive.
I'm saying Tonga will.
But Tonga, the momentum they've
got now, they're going to pick it up and they'll want to have a good performance against Lebanon. They don't want to regress.
No.
They want to keep putting on points and just even
playing together.
Even when New Zealand got in front.
Well,
it was the mistakes.
I just hope
defensive mistakes.
Well, he's had an attitude thing from the Kiwis last week against Tonga. Is Tonga going to have a poor attitude going into a game against Lebanon, thinking that they're going to just walk through them?
No.
Let's hope not. Let's hope not. It's easy as a former player to think we're going to get the 2 points this week.
Do you think New Zealand were off? Or do you think?
Because I
look 17 on 17. I go Tonga has, without a Sean Johnson and Roger Tuivasa-Sheck, Tonga's a better side. Tuivasa-Sheck, if he didn't play, I think Tonga would have put more points on him. Sean Johnson, man, I said it before. He's got to stand up. I mean, Asafa Solomona, man, he's been an absolute beast. If his impact wasn't coming off the bench, all the tests that he's played, he's just been a monster. Like he's making all the meters. Obviously, after Tapau and Hargraves, put a bit of a dent in him. But mate, he's playing with some passion, man. He's probably in the top 5 forwards in the whole World Cup.
Yeah.
Without him coming off the bench, there's not that much sting. And I just want Sean Johnson just to grab this World Cup by the neck, and he's the only one that can show him the other way.
He was poor in that last 10 minutes. He made a couple of mistakes. I don't know whether he was trying too hard, but in that last 10 minutes against Tonga, when you say he's the sort of
the money man. Like that's why you put your sevens on, your Andrew Johns and all these Jonathan Thurston's. You give them the ball. You know what I mean? That's why they're on the big bucks. Make the big plays.
And he was, to be fair to him, he was calling for it. It wasn't as if he was hiding. It was just that he made.
But I mean the whole game, man. I mean, I don't think you understand how good a player he is. Skill level wise, kicking game, left to right, passing, right to left, everything he's got in his toolkit is a 9 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10. So I don't understand how it doesn't replicate onto his on-field performance. And I just want it to because I know how good he is, because all the other World Cups and every other time they beat Australia in any test, he's got man of the match.
They don't want to take their eye off Fiji either, because we said before they can put some points on.
No way,
so, I think New Zealand win that game, but, Fiji, look,
you
to be
don't
honest...
sound too confident.
I'd love to see Fiji win.
We all
Why can't Fiji win?
I just think they'll get towed up in the forwards.
Think, it's experience and...
Well, that's what I mean. I think Tuivasa-Sheck, man, it was outstanding.
He's been devastating.
He's back to his best. It's good to see a kid like that coming back from an ACL. Takes a good 18 months, and now he's back. He's back to his best. So
that Kiwi forward pack, the players that they've got, and then to come off a loss against Tonga, they're not going to take a backward step. And I just don't think Fiji's got the firepower.
Very proud men, all Islanders and New Zealand, Australia. Anyone plays rugby league, but if you get dusted like that, and you watch Tonga get all the adulation all week, in your own country, in your backyard. They're getting more fans than you. It's just that Tongan flag flying everywhere. I'll be pissed off. And I'd want Fiji to come at me 100% so I could take their head off.
Well, the other game that I think, honestly, I can smell an upset. I know you're on Team England at the moment. I think Fiji can win.
Mate, I think there could be an upset, but the way I watched England blow France off the park, they just look too slick. They've got Sam Burgess back. They've got a couple other players back. They've got Widdop. I just don't think they're any chance.
Imagine PNG and Tonga.
Oh
my God.
That would be...
Imagine that. Imagine the collisions.
Imagine the medics on the side.
All I know is if England get to the final, they're going to be tested. They've got Papua New Guinea, and they've got Tonga, and they will be sore. They'll be sore, but they'll be going, we cannot get hit harder than this, and we can't prepare any better. Enough. So if you're going to bring Australia or New Zealand, I think I'd tip Nelly England. I'd nearly go England way.
Look, I know the USA
they should have won.
They're dog shit. But the way PNG put them away, and Lachlan Lamb came out and he played enormous. Now, he can't get a start. They brought back Arce Bias, which is understandable because he's a gun footballer. Yeah. I just think PNG, the way they're playing, they've got the whole country on their backs. Don't write them off. I'm not writing them off.
I'm just going off class and England's experience and a coach like Wayne Bennett. I just don't think he's going to slip over in the quarterfinals. I know PNG is going to go down there and leave every inch on that ground. But I just think England's going to come. I'm a realist. I'd love to say New Guinea's going to win and just jump on the bandwagon.
Like me.
Yeah. But I am a realist, and I've got faith in Wayne Bennett's side, and I think that England can do the job. And I think England-Tonga in the semis will be absolutely massive.
I have to agree. I think England's going to have too much class, too much strike, and it sets up the future for Papua New Guinea. The momentum behind them and the Hunters winning the Queensland Cup, they're just getting stronger and stronger. And the next time we talk about the World Cup in 4 years' time, we could be saying PNG are the favourite.
Yeah.
There's a lot of kids coming through, like you said, young Lamb.
Yeah.
It just sets up the good future for Papua New Guinea, and everyone's really got behind them, so good luck to them.
Everyone's proud as hell. I mean, if you're a Papua New Guinea now, you'd be so proud to call yourself Papua New Guinea.
I got 1/4.
You're 1/8? I'm thinking about 8% New
Tongan.
Guinea, I think I am. About 8%?
You've got 200%. No, I reckon the future's now. The future's now, and Papua New Guinea
You're going to go for the upset?
Papua New Guinea win.
Okay.
Well, you heard it here first. And the other game's Tonga-Lebanon, please. So after these quarters, then we go into the semi-finals, and I think the interest levels are going to peak. They're going to start to grow from now on, and I think the World Cup really needs to get some pretty big interest for it to be considered a success. They need some pretty big interest in the next 3 weeks.
Yeah, I just think with that game, that simple game, Tonga versus New Zealand, making Sports Centre, that's when you know you made it. I mean, they don't have to put that on there.
If the Rugby League World Cup
be on there.
Organiser, you'd be going, thank God that happened.
Well, thank God Taumalolo and Fafita.
Thank God that Tonga...
And thank New Zealand as well, you know what I mean? Thank God they're speaking about a little nation out in the South Pacific, on the world stage going really well. You know what I mean? Like, ESPN is the biggest broadcaster of sport in the world. And we're sitting on the stage and they're talking about us. You know what I mean? Rugby League. Rugby League wins there, but I mean, they wouldn't be talking about that if Taumalolo did make that decision. Anyone who bagged Taumalolo should be writing a retraction saying sorry, because he's put this whole World Cup on his back, him and Fafita. So I'm expecting a couple of little sorries here and there.
Starting this week is the Women's World Cup, which is very exciting. There's only 6 teams this year. There's the Gillaroos, who are deserved favourites. You've got the New Zealand side, who are called the Black Ferns. We've got Canada. We've got the Cook Islands. We've got England. And we've got, of course, PNG.
Where's
Orchards.
Tonga and Samoa? Seriously.
Canada's in there.
As if they can't get another 2 sides,
on.
Tonga and Samoa. God damn.
Canada's the Ravens. So they no, Canada actually, believe it or not, have got one of the best women's rugby sides in the world. They're one of the top sides. So there's obviously an offshoot from there. So it's very popular.
Well, they've got the Toronto Wolfpack as well.
Wolfpack.
Yeah, fantastic. That's great.
So they're playing. I think they play 3 games in a row. They're playing down at Cronulla, and I think it's a great initiative, and I think full credit to all the girls that are out there playing, and they're tough. They're not.
Yeah. Every time the Gillaroos and Ferns play in the Anzac Test, they go crazy. Their hits are ridiculous. You know what I mean? So I think it's a bit of a shame that they didn't follow the Men's World Cup and play before us, but. Obviously, it's their first World Cup, and they can build from this, and hopefully there can be some more nations, coming up and thriving through. I think, obviously Tonga and Samoa has got to be pretty close in the women's thing if the men's are going so good. But good on them. I think they should be.
The final's played before the men's final. That's played. So the grand final of the World Cups, the women's will play. So they get to play on the big stage there, which is terrific. And I mean, good luck to everyone. As we said, I think Australia probably win that, but there'll be some sides give them some curry, I tell you.
New Guinea's in there, man.
Bag's not playing New Guinea.
Yeah, they look like they can hit as well.
They will hit. So, look, good luck to all the girls, and we look forward to seeing you out there over the next couple of weeks.